BMW 5 Series, been there. Audi A6, done that. Mercedes-Benz E-Class, it's been around a long time. Are you bored of the traditional European mid-sized luxury sedans? Well, if so, Jaguar has an answer for you, and it's this, the second generation Jaguar XF. And guess what? We're going to take it for a ride and see if Jaguar can give the other Europeans a little run for their money. There are two flavors of XF, and the biggest difference is under the hood. This XF has a 340 horsepower supercharged V6, which is the same engine that you can get in the XFS, but that one has 380 horsepower. Both are paired to an 8-speed automatic, except of course the S, well, that's a little bit faster, and they both have 332 pound-foot of torque.
This is a completely new car versus the outgoing XF.
But it's striking. It's a little bit more round. It's a little bit more mature, but it's very similar.
It's very similar. So in 2007, when the first XF came out,
Yep.
it was the start of a new design language for Jaguar. It was the first car actually that Ian Callum designed solely. But so this time around, I mean, we've got the introduction of the XE now, an entry-level car for Jaguar, which is the sporting variant, which gave us the sort of the scope to do a more mature XF.
So it gave you a little bit more, let's say, design leeway to change it around a little bit, because before this would have been the entry-level Jaguar.
Correct, yeah.
But now, if I look over here, and we're saying entry level, right? What is it? Monroney. I think this is the Monroney. We're looking at an MSRP as tested price of $74,000. So it's right up there with the German competitors.
Exactly.
The XF is Jaguar's best-selling model, and usually when you're dealing with a new version of a best-selling model, changes tend to be evolutionary, not revolutionary. Now, Jaguar will tell you that this model is completely new, just a few nuts and bolts from the last generation, but style-wise, to my eye, it looks very similar to the outgoing generation, which is a good thing, because when Ian Cullen designed this car, he did it right the first time. Now, obviously, you are in a very competitive segment, right? You've got the 5 Series, you've got the E-Class, you've got a lot of the Asian competitors. So what distinguishes the Jaguar, besides, obviously, its Britishness?
Yeah. So there's a few things that we think this car sets apart from the competitors. The way it drives. We put a lot of effort, and that's not just in the lightweight body, the stiffness, etc., but the steering feel. We put a lot of effort into this car to make it the driver's car in the segment.
And you guys have gone all in with aluminum, right? It used to be that you can get a Range Rover and the body panels, the roof, the side panels, the hood, that was all aluminum. But this car, the body in white is all aluminum.
So it's 75% aluminium in its structure, this car. So the key with aluminium is using it in the right places. So we do other materials too, like magnesium and high strength boron steel, but we've used a lot of aluminium, very intensive aluminium in this car.
And there are two models, right? There's 340 horsepower and this one with 380 horsepower.
Yeah, that's right.
So let's try it. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That is nice. 8-speed automatic with pedal shifters,
Absolutely, yeah.
Supercharged?
Supercharged. So it's a twin vortex supercharger, and what that offers over turbocharging is just instant torque, right off the bat. No delays, no hunting, just instant power, instant torque.
And yet I didn't hear very much of the supercharger whine, right? It's not, let me try it again. No, it's muted. I can hear the exhaust.
Yeah, it's very muted in this car. I mean, it is there, but I mean, part of that is it's a very efficient engine as well, so up to 30 mpg in this car, but but it is there.
All right, so I take it you've been flogging this around the highways of Great Britain?
We've left a bit of rubber on the Great British roads, that's for sure.
I'm thinking you must have. And this is a softball question, what's your favorite feature of the new vehicle?
The steering.
Yeah.
The steering and the power, and just the balance of this car. We spent a lot of time making sure that the weight distribution is very good. and then the steering feel gives you lots of feedback, gives you lots of confidence to drive it hard, and also it gives you lots of the balance of the car and the weight of the car. You've got tons and tons of grip, so you can really drive it spiritedly.
Inside, everything is a little bit more linear. It's a little bit more toned down. It's a little bit more conservative, and that's usually what happens when you try to make a car that's a little bit more, well, let's call it mature. But the classic XF design features like this, the gear selector hockey puck still comes up, and of course right here you can see it, the little air vents still open up like in the previous generation. So they've toned it down, but they've kept, I guess, the things that make an XF an XF.
The car we're sitting in now has adaptive suspension, so it's monitoring the road 500 times per second, and it's just minutely making adjustments to make sure maximum traction, maximum balance is available most of the time. But the steering, you still have a hard connection with the wheels and the steering. The electric assistance is there just to, obviously, for a modern customer now, you cannot have no power assistance. But yeah, this is the latest. We've proved the steering on the F-Type. We brought that sports car technology into this.
So it's not drive-by-wire?
No. Throttle is drive-by-wire, but no, it's not drive-by-wire on the steering.
Because obviously some of the secret sauce in a Jaguar has always been this unique ability to make a car both compliant and sharp when it comes to performance, right? And those are two things that are on different ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely. So I mean, crucial in this car to try and get that breadth of capability is our integral link rear suspension. And what we've done, I believe, we're the only ones in the segment that use integral link rear suspension. And the ethos behind that is that the components and the links and arms in there that control longitudinal and lateral forces in the car are separated. So the bushings that we can use can for stiffness and steering feel and handling, we want really stiff bushes, and for comfort you want really compliant. But because we separated the links out, we can use stiff bushes and we can use soft bushes in the right vectors in the suspension, and it gives you both. It's the best of both worlds. But even with our passive damping system on this car as well, we've got this new technology with a frequency-dependent bypass valve to try and determine passively what surface the road is on, and it will give you 2 stages of damping.
How fast does that determine the road surface?
Because it's passive, it's not like the adaptive system where it's actually monitoring with accelerometers and speed sensors, etc. like that. It's just the frequency of the bump. So if it's experiencing high frequency but low force loads, then the damping will be compliant, because it's although it's not got an ECU thinking about it, just the way it's tuned, it will be open and be more compliant. But when you have low frequency but high force, such as when you're cornering, this valve closes and stiffens up the suspension.
Is it spacious? Is it roomy? Is it comfortable? I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 on all of those counts. You know, it's the back seat of a mid-sized luxury sedan, and if you're 6'2", it's not going to be the most comfortable place in the world, but it's not going to be a penalty box either.
So this is our entry-level screen here, which is the 18-inch screen, and then an option is we can get a 10.2-inch touchscreen too, as well as a full TFT cluster as an option.
And is this system different than the previous one, or is it still basically the same system? Because I'm being honest, it was a little slow. In the previous model, it was a little painful to use.
Yeah, understand. So this is a new system that we've got in the XC2. Different to the old one. Even the entry-level system is new, and the upgraded, the optional advanced infotainment system is a completely ground-up new. It's really fast. It's got quad-core processing. It's got Intel technology in it, so it's really, really fast. And like you say, we needed to do that. Yeah,
because especially nowadays, this has become such an integral part of the driving experience, right? People are always connected, and so when this is frustrating, even though you've got a lot of the other things right, it just...
Yeah. It was extremely important for us to make sure this car was loaded with technology, new technology.
So what else is there that's different from the German competition? and the American and the Japanese competition. It's a very competitive market segment.
It is a very competitive market segment. So apart from the obvious things that often is true with the Jaguar, it's the styling. You know, this is a very, and it's not overly styled. It's very simple, but it's very clean. You know, and then we have the handling and the compliance. We have the efficiency and the lightness, and we've loaded it full of technology, and we think that sets us apart.
Yeah, and at what point is there too much technology? Because I was listening to your presentation this morning, and I was thinking to myself, at some point, it becomes like driving a video game, right, as opposed to driving a car. When the technology doesn't enhance the driving experience, but gets in between the driving experience.
Right.
Are we getting there yet, or do you think that you're walking that tightrope and making the driving experience better without making it artificial?
Well, I think that's exactly where we are with this car. This is all about the driving experience, and the technology here is either to make you safer or to just improve your connectivity, whatever. So the active safety features on this car, which we've got tons of new stuff on this versus the outgoing XF, but such as autonomous emergency braking, lane keep assist, those sorts of things, driver drowsiness, that none of those things intervene unless you really need them. And that point when you need them, that's, you know, you'll be thankful that they're there.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's very responsive. This thing has a lot of beans. Many beans are under the hood.
I guess we we were very critical when we first got in it, but now as you're driving and you're having fun, maybe you're not so critical of the price.
Well, here we go. Oops. Notice the car ahead of me. There we go. Finally was able to get ahead of him. Yeah, it's lively, dude. I mean, it's really, when I'm pushing the car a little bit, I'm really starting to kind of become attuned to its driving characteristics, and it's really confidence inspiring. A lot of genuine torque that's easily accessible, and it's fun, dude. It's fun. Is it $74,000 fun? I don't know. That's up to you guys. XF or XFS. They're both fast, they're both fun, and they're both not German. But are they both abide? You know what? We're gonna have to wait till we get these cars to Colorado to give them a full test, because after driving them for just an hour, it's not fair to you, and it's certainly not fair to Jaguar if we were to rate them. As always, this is Roman reporting for the Fast Lane Car. Check out tflcar.com for more news, views, and of course, real world Jaguar XF and XFS reviews. See you next time. Ciao.
Looks like they've gone for sort of Swedish modern and failed. Although I do like the infotainment system.
It used to be the worst in the biz.
Yeah, well, they were the first people to adopt Flash in their vehicles, and now they've really mastered it. And the idea that it has pictures like the British phone booth in there for the phone, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a little cliche, but yeah, I'd give it to you. It's cool.
But isn't the whole thing cliche? You know.
Well, look, we had this conversation with Mini, right? So Mini is owned by BMW,
right,
and they've got a bunch of Germans designing it.
Right.
At least Jaguar is owned by an Indian company, and they still have a bunch of Brits designing it.
Right. But at the same time, Jaguar is kind of interesting because they promote the heritage, they promote the brand, and those are the things like Mini does. You don't notice VW promoting their heritage.
No.
Or you don't notice Audi promoting their heritage so much.
Well, if you're VW, gosh darn it, you probably don't want to promote your heritage.
Yes.
Wink, nudge, nudge.
Although in this one, it's pure heritage. They're using icons like the phone booth and those type of things to promote the car, and I think that's great. They also, I noticed in the presentation that they call it a boot and a bonnet and aluminium and those sort of things. So they're definitely delving into the historic Anglophileness of the vehicle.
So do you say aluminum or aluminium? I can't even say it the British way.
Aluminium.
I love the way you say it.
It's kind of interesting because
Jaguar.
Yeah, Jaguar.
Yeah, that's much
better.
It's
not Jaguar, like an American.
No, it sounds so much more sophisticated and let's face it, just sexy when you say it, dude.